In France, long before Napoleon rose, the country was ruled by kings with absolute power. These kings made every decision without asking the people. Many French people were unhappy. They had to pay heavy taxes, but the rich paid almost nothing. Common people worked hard, but had very few rights. The people wanted freedom, fairness, and a voice in decisions. Their hope was to change France to be fairer for everyone, not just the rich. The desire for change grew stronger every day. People gathered to share ideas and discuss a future with fewer taxes and more justice for all. As ideas spread, anger grew toward the ruling class and king. Many felt they were treated unfairly and deserved better lives. Then, in 1789, the people began what we now call the French Revolution. They were tired of injustice and wanted to make a new society. During this time, a young man named Napoleon Bonaparte saw a chance to rise. Born in Corsica, he was clever, ambitious, and dreamed of great success. Corsica was a small island, and Napoleon's family wasn't wealthy. Yet, he was very determined to succeed and make a name for himself in history. Napoleon studied hard and eventually won a scholarship to a military school in France. This opportunity was rare for someone from his background. At school, Napoleon learned many skills. He studied math, history, and the art of war. Even as a student, he showed leadership and impressed his teachers. By 1785, he became a young officer in the French army. With France in turmoil, Napoleon's skills were valuable, and he quickly gained respect. As unrest grew across France, the young officer saw many chances to prove himself. Napoleon was ready to take on challenges. Napoleon's childhood in Corsica was tough. His family didn't have much money, and he often felt like an outsider because he wasn't from mainland France. As a boy, Napoleon spoke Corsican and Italian. He didn't start learning French until he was 10, which made him different from other students. He was teased for his accent and his small size, but Napoleon didn't let it stop him. He kept studying hard and focused on his goals. At school, Napoleon was given a chance to enter the military academy. This was a big opportunity, and he knew he had to work hard to succeed. Military training was challenging, but Napoleon's intelligence and bravery set him apart. He showed promise and started to dream of a greater future. By 1785, he completed his training and joined the French army as a young officer. France was unstable, and Napoleon saw this as a chance. Napoleon's early years in the army were marked by his courage. He impressed his leaders by always staying calm and focused, even in tense situations. As he took on more responsibilities, Napoleon quickly rose through the ranks. The French Revolution opened many doors for him to prove his talents. By age 24, Napoleon was promoted to brigadier general, an important position. This was a rare achievement for someone so young. During the Revolution, France was full of chaos and conflict. Napoleon's military skills became very valuable, and he began to gain fame across the country. People started to notice this brave young leader. Many believed he could help bring stability and order to France during this difficult period. Napoleon was confident and full of ambition. He believed that with hard work and smart planning, he could rise even higher in the military. In 1798, Napoleon led an army to Egypt. His goal was to disrupt British trade and weaken their power. He took soldiers, scientists, and scholars with him. Napoleon wanted to conquer Egypt, but also learn from it. He brought experts to study Egyptian culture and artifacts, showing interest in history and knowledge. The local people were curious at first, but they soon grew angry. The French troops acted rudely, and their behavior offended many Egyptians. Napoleon tried to win the Egyptian support. He even told them he respected their religion. Yet, his true goal was to control Egypt and its wealth. The French army took many Egyptian treasures, which angered the people even more. Napoleon's promises of respect seemed empty and false. Eventually, the British Navy defeated the French forces. Napoleon was forced to leave Egypt, but he was eager to return to France with new plans. Back in France, the government was weak. The people were still facing many problems, and they were desperate for a strong leader to bring stability. Napoleon saw a chance to take control. In 1799, he helped overthrow the government, called the Directory, and became the first consul of France. As first consul, Napoleon held great power. People believed he could fix France's problems, and they hoped he would bring peace and strength. Napoleon quickly made changes to gain the people's support. He fixed the economy and built schools, giving hope to the nation. He became very popular. Many saw him as a hero who could restore France's greatness. Napoleon worked hard to show he was a leader who cared for the country's future. But even as he improved life in France, Napoleon had bigger dreams. He aimed to rule not just France, but all of Europe one day. As first consul, Napoleon started making major reforms. One of his biggest changes was creating the Napoleonic Code, a new set of laws for France. This code organized laws about property, family, and citizenship. It made rules clearer, so people knew their rights and duties across France. The Napoleonic Code helped the economy by making business and trade simpler. People could trust that the same laws applied no matter where they lived in France. While the code was popular, not everyone gained new rights. Women lost many rights under Napoleon's laws. They couldn't own property once married. Married women had to obey their husbands and could not make big decisions alone. If a woman worked, her wages went to her husband, not to her. Many women were upset by these laws, feeling they were treated unfairly. But Napoleon believed this order was necessary to keep families stable. Napoleon also made schools for advanced studies. He opened high schools called lycées to train future leaders and teachers for France. The new schools taught math, science, and engineering, helping more young men gain useful skills. These schools were part of his plan for a stronger France. Many countries saw Napoleon's education system and copied it. He wanted France to lead in science, technology, and innovation in Europe. With the Napoleonic Code and new schools, France grew stronger. Napoleon was proud of these reforms, seeing them as steps to modernize the country. By improving the economy and education, he won the loyalty of many citizens. They believed he was building a brighter future for France. However, some thought Napoleon's power was too strong. As he gained more control, others worried he was acting too much like a king. Napoleon's ambition grew, and he set out to conquer more lands in Europe. His goal was to build a large empire, with France as the center of power. He assembled a massive army by drafting young men across France and even from the lands he conquered. They were loyal to him and fought bravely. Napoleon won many battles, defeating Austria, Prussia, and other powerful nations. His skill and courage on the battlefield made him famous across Europe. However, his next target, Russia, proved challenging. In 1812, he led over 600,000 soldiers to invade Russia, hoping for a quick victory. But the Russian army used scorched earth tactics, burning crops and supplies as they retreated. Napoleon's troops found little food and shelter. The harsh Russian winter made conditions even worse. Soldiers suffered from the cold, hunger, and exhaustion, and many died on the long journey back. This invasion weakened Napoleon's forces greatly. Other European nations saw his struggle and joined together to defeat him once and for all. In 1814, Napoleon was forced to step down from power and was exiled to the island of Elba. Many thought his rule was finally over, but Napoleon escaped from Elba in 1815, returned to France, and raised an army again. His followers cheered his return, hoping for victory once more. Napoleon's final battle took place at Waterloo in Belgium. Despite his efforts, he was defeated by European forces, ending his reign forever. After this loss, he was sent far away to the island of St. Helena, where he would live the rest of his days in exile. Napoleon's dream of ruling Europe was over, but his influence on France and its people remained strong for many years. Even after his defeat, Napoleon's legacy continued. The Napoleonic Code remained an important law in France and inspired laws in other countries too. His laws made rights and rules clearer, which helped to modernize many parts of Europe. People in other nations admired his work on law and government. Napoleon's education reforms also had a lasting impact. By creating schools and promoting learning, he helped train many future scientists and leaders. French museums kept treasures taken during his conquests. These items still remind visitors of Napoleon's reach and power across Europe and Egypt. Many people were amazed by the French art and ideas that spread during his rule. French culture, language, and style became popular worldwide. Napoleon's military methods, like fast attacks, were studied by future armies. His tactics changed how battles were fought for years to come. The Napoleonic Code, his system of laws, is perhaps his most famous legacy. Even today, some parts of his code are still used in legal systems around the world. This code focused on property, family, and business laws, helping to create order and fairness. It gave France a clear structure in daily life. Although his rule ended, people respected how he shaped French society. His code brought structure and unity, and people remembered him as a strong leader. Napoleon's rise and fall taught Europe about the power of ambition. His story showed both the achievements and the dangers of seeking too much control. Decades later, France honored him by bringing his remains to Paris, where he was buried in a grand tomb. People still visit it today. For better or worse, Napoleon changed Europe. His ideas, laws, and actions influenced history and are remembered as a big part of France's past.